Hey, I'm Adam Thompson. I help organisations with strategy, organisational design and leadership. And today I want to talk about the normal problems that hit any organisation when it's successful and start to grow. Let's get right into it. We're going to lean on Dr. Ichak Adizes, who I spoke about before when I talked about the 4 managerial roles that are required for success. Now, Adizes has for years, decades, put together what he calls the business life cycle. And I'm going to draw a version of it, and it goes like this.
Let's see that in an instant replay.
Adizes, over decades of observation, has seen that businesses go through certain predictable life phases. So he talks at first about courtship is the start when we're trying to get the business going, and then we actually decide that we are going to start a business, and we go into infancy. And we can survive infancy once we've been able to make a few sales. We've actually shown, and because I do a lot of work in the social sector, we've actually shown that we can get funding. And in the private sector, it can be from people paying their invoices. But the point is, we have ourselves a going concern. Going, because as Adizes points out, what happens next is do we go into a phase called go-go. And go-go is that phase when things are going good, and you've probably been in that stage recently if you're a growing business, because you're looking at customers coming in, things are going well, you might even look at other markets you can go into. Now, the classic thing that's occurring here is you've got revenue now coming in, but you've also got expenses starting to go up. And things are now starting to become a little bit inefficient, because what you need to have is some sort of, cue the music, systemization. In other words, you're being effective, you're getting lots of stuff done, but we are not being efficient. So we're doing the equivalent to driving the 1969 Valiant Safari wagon down the freeway, and sparks are starting to fly out the back. We're going to be going through a period that starts to look like this, and this is what Adizes calls adolescence. It's a predictable stage that a business is going to go through, and just like adolescence, there are standard problems we're going to have. We're going to have skin breaking out, we're going to have voices breaking for some people, there's going to be all the emotional issues. It's a standard part, and when these occur, the job is to help people get through those. It doesn't mean that things are going wrong. It doesn't mean that things are going wrong. Of course, there are sometimes some problems that are actually not the normal sort of problems, but most of the problems of a growing business are the problems that we will see in adolescence. So the work of adolescence becomes to put in just enough systemization so that we can actually start to get things more efficient again and get organized without putting in so much systemization that we wreck the joint. But it's possible to get that wrong, and Adizes points out a couple of ways that can occur, one of which is the founder's trap. That's a situation where the founder is unable to let go, where it remains as a personal business. It might even be the CEO, where people keep coming to the CEO to get the quick answers that they're used to, and the CEO is not able to, or is not comfortable in systemizing such that everything still goes through the founder. The trouble is energy is still getting pumped into the business, everything's going through the founder, we have the same bottleneck problem, and what that eventually leads to is explosion. The other problem that Adizes points out is called early death, when you systemize the joint so much that all the spirit goes out of it and it feels like nothing can be done without filling in a piece of paper. Both cause a similar problem. This one a bit more of a grind to a halt in an ugly way, this one a spectacular explosion, but either way the business is not viable. But if we can work on systemizing the business by making sure that the systems of the business fulfill the purpose of the organization, and making sure the people are going to be using the systems are the ones involved in putting those systems together, that gives us every chance to find our way through to prime, which is a situation where we have just enough systemization so that everything stays efficient, but we still have the entrepreneurial spirit and the aliveness that the business originally started with to make sure we can continue to develop into our market. And of course, you've got things that go down the other side of this when your place becomes a bureaucratic nightmare.
Fotocopia del DNI, número de cuenta, fotocopia de la tarjeta de la Seguridad Social, fotocopia de los impresos de Hacienda.
But that's for another occasion. And you may ask yourself, but we've been in prime before. What's happened? Because of your own success, you've effectively jumped from this curve to this curve. So if we draw a line across, we could say that where you were once in prime, you are now back into adolescence again, but this time on a larger scale. But in order, if you believe in your purpose, to keep doing what you're doing well for a bigger audience, you're going to end up back in adolescence as you go to that steeper curve there, which is going to require the work of systemizing how you go about doing it. And that is the outline of the work required to be able to handle the growth of a growing business. This can give us the conceptual relief to know that we were once in prime, but now we've grown to be a bigger business because we're successful, so you're doing nothing wrong. We simply need to upgrade our 1969 Valiant Safari to something a bit more modern in terms of the way it works, because now we're going to be putting more energy through the system. It's a natural process. We can predictably get to the outcome that we need. It's going to require a bit of work, but it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. In fact, it gives you the big opportunity to start doing things even more right. That's all for now. I'll see you next time.